Oh, I don't even have my fancy transition on her. Alright, well, that'd be fixed. I was like, oh my god, we just got into game so quickly. Not happened for a while. Alright, let's get this started off. So, it's going to be a best of 3. All these matches in this group are best of 3 from the AlphaX 500 DJ Esports Cup. It might be 500 D. I think that's the way around you meant to say it. I got these replays off their Matcherino page. As always, they pretty much always offer replay packs for sale on Matcherinos to help prize fund. So, yeah. Basically, we're going to cast some of these games, cast some of these replays, because we don't have anything else to cast today. And like I said, we've only got a certain amount of time until DreamHack starts up and all of that good stuff. So that's what we're going to be focusing on for the moment. So we start off in the bottom left-hand side with that Red Terran player. Cure, of course, he's taking on RagnaroK. A bit of TvZ action. RagnaroK actually now part of AlphaX. They picked him up and obviously hoping to use him as part of their team for the upcoming season, the next season, in about a month's time of the Gold Series Team Championship. So nice pickup there as a few workers jumping in this extractor. Hatchery down on the natural. And we do just see this SCV of Cure continuing away up to the top right-hand side. So Cure going for a little bit of scouting in the early stages. Of course, Cure RagnaroK, for us here on the channel, is a pretty cool matchup because this year it was the grand finals of our first major tournament of the year that we ran, the WardiTV 2020, our biggest tournament ever. And RagnaroK actually came out ahead, 4-0 in that finals. And RagnaroK, I gotta say, if there's ever been, one Zerg that's really had Cure figured out, it's probably been RagnaroK. It's not like other Zergs haven't beaten Cure, but I do feel like RagnaroK often forces the games into states where Cure is not comfortable, and just always seems to be RagnaroK's advantage, and then maybe Cure playing really well to turn it around a game or so. You have the Reaper here dancing with some of these Zerglings early, doing a pretty decent job of this, and obviously just doing what it does best. Has one Zergling kill on it as it leaves. It is ice and chrome for our first map, so expecting to see something of a larger game. Maybe some mech or something along those lines. Definitely a few possibilities as to what exactly could happen here as this Reaper sits down the right-hand side. We've got a couple of Overlords from RagnaroK continuing to come down to the bottom left side of this. Factory building a couple of Hellions, Rax building a Marine, Starport in the main base. I'm just going to be seeing this drone dropping down and building up a third hatchery. It's getting a third hatch started with the extra drones coming out. Link speed about to finish. And again, the starport done in just a few moments as we have Hellions, a Marine or so. All of these popping out. Cure going to be coming out the front and, well, very standard stuff. Now, again, expecting this to kind of be potentially mech. We have seen a few players try and approach this matchup with a bit of bio lately on Ice and Chrome, but honestly, I'm still not a fan of it. And I feel like if you play bio, you need a really cool build early game to get into the leads that you can then continue. Or you need more of a plan than just, oh, I'm going to play bio and kind of go and, fight and whatever. Other day we saw Euthermal against Solar, right? He played bio and he didn't do a weird build, but he did put his tanks over here and his Marines here, and he completely denied the third base. And that was a play, right? So you need something special if you're going to make bio work, I think. Otherwise, it's just that little bit too difficult. As we do see Fusion Core is going to be finishing up from Cure in a few moments' time. A couple of SCVs still building off the orbital. And there is our Ling. Escaping away up that left side. Cure will bring his couple of Hellions and a Reaper back around into the center. And the battle cruiser of Cure continues to build in the main base as well. So continuing to go into that BC. As again, Reaper and a couple of Hellions maybe wanting to move their way into the third here, but overall probably wants to wait until the BC is out. We see extra gases already, so Cure is going to say, yep, let's go into some mech here. As RagnaroK flies forward and gets to see that there's a starport with a tech lab on it building. But he doesn't actually get to see what exactly comes out of it. But he saw the fusion core. I didn't realize he got that close. That's why I was trying to grab his vision to confirm, and I messed up a little bit. So it is going to be a fusion core. He's seen. He knows pretty much then it's going to be a battle cruiser. And if you know it's going to be a battle cruiser, well, you can already see RagnaroK is able to go into the, lair, probably the road Troran as well, because then you say, okay, well, I kind of want to get rid of my, I want to be able to deflect the Hellions. If he goes Roach Ravager Corruptor, I mean, there is obviously some more styles which are very kind of Mutalisk focused, and you kind of play Muta Bane and into Roaches. But if you do that, you typically go with the faster lair when you try and play like a fast 3-base Mutalisk. This isn't the faster lair, so this is going to be a little bit slower there. Okay, for a moment he started missile and melee upgrades, so he is going to go melee upgrades, so he is going to play probably Mutaling Bane. As the first BC shows up, and we're going to be seeing it moving down the right-hand side. Honestly, the one reason I don't like this as much is just because I feel like once he gets set up in this kind of scenario, you do feel like, the mutas are something that really kind of build up all game long. And, right now, how much of a chance they're going to get to build up. And I know you can say that about Corruptors, but with the mutas, you really want to get a high count and keep that count rising. With Corruptors, you get to like 11 or 12, and that's kind of it. And you build more as you lose them to the BC Yamatos. So, yeah, I mean, he will go Spire here again. Looks like it will be mutas with those melee upgrades, but, well, it's going to be fun to see how exactly RagnaroK handles it. As I love this scan, though. Gets a bunch of creep teamers for, well, very little effort. I mean, good job with the Hellions, right? Keeping the creep spread back. The Queens already aren't creep spreading as much as he'd like them to, because the battle cruiser is here and controlling the Queens and where they can move to. So as long as he's doing that, I mean, he's then denying creep, and he's going to keep RagnaroK very back in this game. That's a dead hatchery. It has to be cancelled. Too many Hellions there, and the Queen's not quite the creep spread to come across and defend it right away. Obviously, you can't transfuse a structure that is still building as well. So, yeah, nice little pick off from Q, and it's all the little things so far that have allowed Q to just, leverage his way into a slight advantage. Just a good start from Q, right? There's not been anything that's gone wrong. He's going to handle these Hellions properly. He moves them away from what is kind of a lot of Lings as well. RagnaroK on a lot of minerals and gas, waiting for that Spire to finish to help him out with the second wave of this. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, this BC did just fly across the map. I thought it just teleported in here, but no, it did fly across the map. As hey, Lings across the map, what can they get done? Well, there's some Hellions to help out. The tanks are going to blow each other up, and the Lings will win out this fight. The other Hellions will now start to go home. He sees two of them together. I mean, that's kind of the point you maybe want to do something, as he will get pushed back. It is Corruptors, by the way. Okay, so he's going to play a Corruptor kind of Ling Roach. I just don't understand the melee upgrades so much then. I don't really feel the melee upgrades are that important if you're going to play like mostly Corruptor Roaches, like supporting Banes. I would have thought you would have wanted to prioritize missile upgrades, even a fast infestation pit. So that does surprise me a little bit. But yeah, I do like it being Corruptors instead of Mutalisks. I was convinced it was Mutas, but as I was kind of saying before, I'd prefer it to be Corruptors based on the way that he's timed out the lair, timed out the Spire, and all of that, as these Hellions are going to reach this mineral line. A few drones already getting roasted. 5 workers. Oh no, why they're stacking back up, and then Q didn't take advantage of it. He was starting to pull the Hellions away, and then he was just a little bit too late. Was he distracted? I don't think so. Yeah, he did teleport a battle cruiser home, but he didn't lose one. That's a shame. He could have had maybe like 8 more drones there, but well, now we've got the Corruptors showing up, and they're going to get Yamato'd and Thawed, and well, they just aren't going to do very much at all. They're going to try and find somewhere to cause 6 spray, it seems, but yeah, they just run into a lot of trouble. So Corruptors unable to do much, maybe not even looking for caustic spray, perhaps just looking for a a kill on a BC that's already teleported back into the main base or so. That's also a pretty reasonable possibility there, as these Corruptors come back around the top side. Pathogen Glands on the Infestation Pit, Bane Speed coming up still, and the Hive of RagnaroK building in the main. With the Lings around the top side, we do see the few Hellions of Cure through the center still, and they're just going to continue to make their way around as a BC with 1 upgrades. Infernal Pre-Igniter continuing to come on up. All these Hellions going to loop around the top and go straight in towards this hatchery over here. So they are going to make a move for that, as the Queen's able to get a couple creep teamers down. Hellions will come through, and again, more than anything, looking for the run by into the mineral line, but too many Zerglings will back off. Yeah, Pathogen Glands early. It's obviously a mentioned that infestation pit, and he's going into Hive as well. Feels like RagnaroK obviously not wanting to do anything aggressive, just already wanting to set up for the later stages of this game. So getting that Pathogen Glands down and seeing where you can go with that, as that Bane Speed's also not far from finishing. The Burrow upgrade coming through as well, and +1 missiles is also up on the Evolution Chamber. Things those roaches heading down to the south as we see Hellions here pretty quickly to push the Lings away. The battle cruisers get there as well, and it's a good cleanup. The tanks and the Thors able to do a little bit extra as well, as the Corruptors of RagnaroK will continue to back away up to the top right-hand side. So Corruptors back up to the top. The Roach Ravager army still setting up, and seeing the few Hellions of Cure around on the 12 o'clock position. Going to be seeing a hatchery there. Again, our battle cruisers coming across, and Cure trying to make his way into that right-hand side base. The Hellions will get turned around once again. Neural Parasite is on the way up. The extra Corruptors coming through. Tomado's already lining up, and they're going to hit few of these Corruptors down. Obviously has the BC teleport away option, right? So that's what BCs are meant to do, but the BCs will have to be more careful from here on out, because those infestors are getting energy. They're getting up to the Neural Parasite, and so we're going to be at that point where the infestors have the energy to lock the BCs down and really stop them from getting away. And that's when you lose the BCs, and that's when you start getting into a little bit more trouble here, as that is an attack move and not an inject. And RagnaroK currently killing his own base with a lot of cleans. He actually pulls a few back away. Does realize it, transfuses it. Misclick is fixed without too many issues. Costs him a bit of energy, but nothing that should be too substantial here. As Cure, we've not really talked about his base scenario, but he's just gone to 4 bases, to 5 bases. Well, without slowing down, but why would he need to slow down? It's been a very, proactive game from him. He's been on the map. There's not been much happening from RagnaroK. He's not, RagnaroK's not put on any real pressure at all so far. The Hellions back around to the right-hand side. Going to get rid of a few of these creep teamers here. The few creep teamers going down as Roach Ravager comes chasing in. The Hellions get pushed back. Command Center will be finishing shortly, and it's another base that Cure can either move out to or just get another orbital up. I think 5 bases for now is fine. You can just get another orbital up and extra mules. He is on 84 SCVs versus 72 drones. So Cure actually has a pretty crazy income available on his side at the moment. And I wouldn't mind to see 10 or so extra workers from RagnaroK. I know he has the larger bank at the moment, but he's the player that's likely going to need a larger bank multiple times to remax, and 10 drones just help you to keep building that up. One fast is popping. Of course, that's the thing too. RagnaroK's playing a very gas-intensive comp, right? So he's building up very slowly, hence why his bank builds up as well, because he's just investing into a lot of gas-heavy stuff versus like mineral-heavy stuff. So again, his bank is pretty much the same as Cure's outside of 2,000 extra minerals. And that might just be what kind of, is in the army at the moment. And also Cure's building like a massive extra CCs, right? So that also comes into play for being a bit of a difference as we see the first push forward. BCs in the bottom right, going to Yamato up a set of Corruptors again. It is 4 BCs. There's quite a lot of army supply caught up in battle cruisers. It's like 24 army supply. So you consider this 24 army supply in battle cruisers, and all of a sudden you realize that this actual ground mech army on its own is not as large as you might want it to be. Now that said, there's also a bunch of army supply in these Corruptors, but they're going to become Broodlords. Well, then I do wonder what the intention is against the BCs. I guess he's going to hope that the Infestors and the Vipers can just handle that. I mean, what else can you really do here, right? You're basically just going to be left hoping. Bunch of group spread setting up in the center. We do see a Roach on the Watchtower is going to be taken down. Scan there, and these tanks are on a mission of their own. The Roach Ravager, they're going to take a Watchtower, and that's going to be a set of tanks that kind of just get donated. Well, I say donated, but they keep on fighting. I mean, they have to dodge the bars, but we'll get a few Ravager kills. I mean, it's not great, don't get me wrong, but actually wasn't as bad as it maybe should have been, right? Definitely could have been worse. Even saves one of them, gets an extra Ravager. I'm actually not convinced that was so bad for Cure. I'm really not convinced that that was so bad for Cure in the end. He actually got quite a few Ravagers, and Ravagers are very gas intensive. It's 100 gas per Ravager, right? So, yeah, tank is 125 gas, but, yeah. Again, I don't think the difference isn't, huge at the end of the day. Maybe it was slightly better for RagnaroK still, but, you saw those 6 tanks walk in, and you kind of expect this to be, like, 800 gas down the drain, and, not much to be done about it, but he does get something from it in the end. Well, with the Broodlords and Corruptors and Infestors here, we've really just progressed as RagnaroK to the late-game army. Tier 3 tech really just across the board. And that's where the Thors are going to come into play. I mean, I like how RagnaroK's done it. He didn't go Broodlords then add in Infestors. He sort of said, well, I know if I go toward Broodlords right away, you're going to start building Thors. So you got the Infestors first, which is also a good scare factor against the BCs. Then he got to the Broodlords, and again, it's just a nice way of doing things because it basically puts him at this position where he now has the Infestors to support the Broods, and they are essential because against this amount of Thors, you need Neuroparasites like these. It's a really nice catch on the BCs, which are now going to Yamato each other, teleport them into the army of Corruptors, and that's going to be a few dead BCs for sure. That's actually a nice way of doing this. He's having to transfuse his Viper, which actually was a little bit far forward there, as the Thors and the tanks try and take advantage of this, moving forward themselves. That's the end of the BCs. Kira will remax some more Thors. The BCs are usually just nice, though, because they drag the Zerg army around. While they might not have been doing, like, a home punch, you know, they do pull the Zerg a little bit over this way, a little bit over that way. It keeps RagnaroK having to split units off and to do something with them, and that's obviously an issue as well. As the Ultralisk Cavern of RagnaroK into the back of the Natural, we've got a Roach that's going to get taken down as it tries to fight against the Planetary Fortress. And a few siege tanks again rotating around the top side of this here with Infestor, Broodlord, Queen into the middle of the map. Corruptors, Vipers, Silverseers as well. All of this continues to join together. And RagnaroK will look to make some progress as our tanks continue up and going to find themselves straight up just on top of this base. Extractor goes down. Going to see the siege tank going to... sorry, the hatchery going to fall as well to the siege tank. So this time the tank run by works out again, and worried about these Infestors being able to get Neurals on the Thors. If they get them, Pure will be in some trouble. He gets the first one, and that's what you need because the Infestors taking the Thors over. It's not just using the Thors against them, right? It just takes the Thors away from actually killing the Broods, which is what the Thors are so good at. And that's why Broods can kind of consider kind of suck right now, because Thors just murder them. But Broods with the proper, you know, setup underneath, it's a completely different story. As you can see, RagnaroK going deep onto the Terran side of the map here. Picks off this orbital command, even no lift up there. I mean, there is Corruptors nearby, so what would it have done? Not a lot, probably. Still a few tanks over here as he denied that base. 21 SCVs already down. There's a couple of Ghosts trying to make their way onto the field. Liberated too, but I mean, these are all things which Kira is starting to move into, but isn't ready just yet. Both players with a huge bank in play, but RagnaroK is going to have the advantage, I think, of just having a terrifying army that Kira needs to clean up, because if he doesn't clean this up, his production gets camped. If your production gets camped, you do not have the time to rebuild. And that's the issue. So, you know, Kira really needs to win this fight with units left over. He can't just trade out and have a few Zerg units left, because then he's never going to get control of this game back. He's running back to the Ghosts. He gets Cloak. He's going to move forward. There's Overseers, though. I'm not sure what he's really waiting for. I'm not sure what the plan is. As Kira, I don't know what he says is the, you know, the go point. He's building a nuke. He's getting +2 ship weapons. A Liberator pops out. I mean, that's not going to make much of a difference, right? There's Corruptors. I don't know what he was really waiting for here as he starts to move forward. Neuroparasite starts going down on some SCVs on Neural. I'm not sure if that's near... I don't know if that's BM or what that is, really. As we see, the Thors are just fighting each other. The Infestor's going to drop a few more Neurals. I mean, the target firing is good as the Broodlords and Corruptors continue into the main. Would have just loved to see RagnaroK turn around during this. I mean, I think the thing is, Kira's bank has been spent and his supply isn't even comparable. And RagnaroK's bank is still there, and he's obviously not rebuilt. He's already built 9 Infestors. He's not maxing out just yet. I like this too. You're going to hold the Thors on the ramp, and then you can't let all the Thors in range at once, right? So just going to continue fighting and trading out a bit better. Although the Vikings get here, and the Corruptors are out of position. Caustic sprays down this base. Kira really just fell apart with this slow push forward of RagnaroK, as everything of RagnaroK more or less goes down now. But look at the remax. 11 Ultralisks. I mean, 11 Ultralisks are just going to completely destroy the end, you know, finish up this game, right? There's just not the support that Kira needs. You know, if there's something extra to these Thors, but these Ultras are going to wrap around in overwhelming numbers, and they are going to shut this game down, I think, as we just have extra Thors and so on. Still building up from Kira. These are all coming out. I mean, anything you can get. Corruptors are going to find another base to Caustic Spray. Is the repair enough? Or the unit's going to get there in time? I think the Corruptors just sit here and eat the damage. They will take down another base. Kira as well. Well, he's got orbitals he could have replaced by now, as Banes and an Ultra or 2 go to the top side of the map, and that's a dead Planetary Fortress as well. Honestly, Kira might just leave this game upon seeing the Ultras. He might just be like, well, this isn't good for me. There you go. Ultra's going to run down. Again, the Thors do well initially while the Ultras move in, but once the Ultras get on top, the Thors take so much damage so quickly, and the Ultras kind of do their job, which is just cleaning up this army, units to spare. The Infestors here are going to be protected by the Hellions, by the Link showing up. And these Infestors are going to drop some murals, and there's just not going to be enough units from here. RagnaroK will take a game number 1 of this series. 20 minutes deep is what it took, but he got there. And RagnaroK does close it out. Played for the late game, got the late game, and played the late game. I don't know what it is, but like I said, these guys just always they show up, they deliver, they play good games. That first game was, yeah, it was slow. But it was something you don't see every day either, right? Like, how often do you see the Zerg actually just being so passive into that late game army nowadays? Very rarely. Yeah, it was something a bit different. I liked it, and I like the way that it ended up as well. Top right hand side, our red Terran player is going to be Pure. And the bottom left, our blue Zerg is going to be RagnaroK. So second map of the series, onto Eternal Empire, and it's kind of weird. I've been saying this and noticing this the last few days, but Eternal Empire is making it into less and less best of 3 map pools, which is definitely a little bit unorthodox, really. It's not quite what you'd expect it to be, I suppose. As I do have this Overlord heading out across to the top right-hand side. So, Overlord making its way over. Hatch gas and the spawning pool all building up again. Nothing really to shout about just yet. RagnaroK leads the series 1-0, of course, with that get set up as Overlord just continues across, and just going to be seeing the Reaper building as well. So Reaper on the way up, and just going to be seeing the Overlord of RagnaroK continuing to the upper right-hand side. SCV of Q heading down to the bottom, and again the Reaper about halfway along orbital command in the main base. Command center on the natural. And again, SCV just continuing down the bottom left-hand side. So, a little bit of movement here. Nothing too crazy just yet as the Reaper of Cure pops out and continues to head down across to the bottom left-hand side of the map. SCV of Cure back up into the middle. Just going to see the SCV replaced by the Reaper as the Reaper dance will begin. Things taking some damage. Queen pushes the Reaper back a little bit. 3 CC from QS, so obviously not double gas right away. Eternal Empire, not a bad map for mech as well, but it's also pretty good for bio, so I'd imagine you probably see a bit of bio here, especially with how the mech went in the last game, with him not really getting too much going for himself. As the starport builds in the main, and just going to be seeing a couple of extra queens, link speed, all of that continuing through for the moment. As a grenade goes down, queen gets popped. It's drone in a bit of trouble, but there's no way this Reaper gets the drone without going down itself first. Extra 2 Hellions coming through, and again that CC from Q onto the main base. The SCVs just jump into the refinery and getting the gas mining continuing, and link speed going to be finishing up from RagnaroK as well in the next few moments. Again, that link speed completing. And that third hatchery already down. And the Rax is just going to come up, land. Banshee already on the way out with the extra Hellions continue to come in, the Marine as well, and Hellions and a Reaper just from Cure out into the center of the map. Overlord already coming up on the natural, a few extra drones, and at this stage, the Cure Banshee, obviously it's very safe. You've gone 3 CC, so to then go Banshees, make sure you don't die to any early aggression that might try and take advantage of 3 CC. Also gives you a lot of harassing options as well, right? And while the Banshees have definitely died out in popularity lately, it's still a good one to mix in because it's safe, it's standard, it leads you into a good mid-game position. What's actually fun is that RagnaroK isn't going for like the Banshee counter, right? Usually we've been seeing some of these faster layers from Zergs and into faster mutas and later upgrades. And a lot of that came around because of the fact that Terrans started to go for Cloak Banshees so frequently. Zergs could get away with delaying their upgrades and still being okay in the upgrade game, while the Terrans, invested into Cloak Banshee pressure, which A, doesn't last forever against Mutalisks, but even before then, you've got a faster Lair, so you've got a faster Overseer, and so you're able to deflect the Banshees more easily just with the Queens. So, in terms of the choice here for Kua, this works out well, because this is kind of back to kind of the builds that we were seeing from the Zergs back in the day when, when Banshees were at the peak of their popularity again. I mean, I say back in the day, just at the peak of the meta, right? Because this meta did kind of re-emerge from not being used for a while. So we do see 2 Hellions and a Reaper just down the bottom side. Queens on the right, Engineering Bays continue to build up, and our melee upgrades on the Evolution Chambers. That is the one benefit here, right? That RagnaroK will have faster upgrades. So that 1-1 going to be much faster. Overlord seeing everything, by the way, as well. Gets to see the Hellion count, gets to see the Banshee number. Where are the other Hellions? Just on the third base? Yes, they're just sat back defensively. So that's pretty good information for RagnaroK, because he even knows there's not even threat of a run by, because he knows not even all the Hellions are over here. So really good info for RagnaroK, as these Banshees decide to go around the left-hand side and come into the back of the natural. Now, there is a couple locations you can probably sit with the Banshees and kill a couple drones, but there is a Spore, there is a Queen here. And honestly, these Banshees, they waited a long time to try and get something done. Now, this left side in towards a few drone kills. Works nicely. Takes a few shots from the Queen, now comes into the center. Oh, RagnaroK going to play a Hydra Den as a follow-up, so he's not going to go for a Spire at all in this game. Instead, going to play that Lingbane Hydra, which has been a little bit more normal as of late. We've seen it kind of come back into popularity. Some Zergs saying, well, Terrans deal with the Mutas very well once more, and as they deal well with the Mutas, I can just build up an army which is actually just very good on its own accord on the ground. As these 2 Banshees do escape up the left-hand side. Marine's going to go for the Overlord. It gets picked off. Marines tank Medivacs into the center here, and just going to see the rest of these Hellions and the Reaper continuing to come through. A couple creep tumors starting to go down, and the Lings are going to run out and go for those Hellions. Hellions get here and clean up quite a few of the Zerglings, pushing a lot of those back. Big army from Kua out to the bottom side. And you have the Queens that are just going to be here, and Kua's push going to hit just before he has his own 1-1, so we kind of like to wait for that. There's a bit of Ling, well, a few Lings going around the top side, some Banes peel off to the left. Just get straight into this hatchery. The Ling's getting ready for the surround. I mean, you've got to go before this hatchery dies. But I like this. Kua's already pulling back, so he sits back. Oh, the Banelings did nothing. Is it enough? Tank fire, I actually feel like helped RagnaroK survive this. It actually hurt a lot of the Marines. I really like the start of this. It really felt like the Banes didn't achieve anything. The tanks targeted them down, but the Ling's getting a good surround, and the Marines not able to stand up for themselves. Reinforcements showing up, though. Still was not a bad fight for Kua. And if he goes again, well, obviously it depends if he can deal with the next round of Banelings. Those are now already on the way up, so already getting those Banelings built. We do see Banshees on the left side able to get a couple of these creep tumors. Marine's going to stem up. Obviously, this time actually has his upgrades as well, which is probably also the reason the Lings did so well, right? You don't have combat shields, you don't have 1-1, and those Lings are just going to really do better than they should. That would have probably made the difference as we just see the tank kind of warning shot off initially. Again, even upgrades now, we'll see what this fight looks like. Marines coming forward, the rest of the Marines and the tank down the right side, and seeing the +2 attack on the Engineering Bay, extra Medivacs in production still, and see a Ling getting picked off also. Tanks will continue to press forward. A couple tanks going to be pushing through. Creep teamers continue to drop down, and again, the Queens, Lings, Banes, all of this coming in now as well. Ling showing up, Banelings next, tank fires, and the rest of these Marines gonna push forward here. Lings and Banes coming through. The Hydra still just off to the side. We actually see the Lings getting caught by reinforcements, so Attempt to counterattack does not go well, and now you lose a lot of your Zerglings too. And that takes away a lot of potential for RagnaroK, because now Kira isn't as afraid back at home. He's got more reinforcements showing up. The Banshees from way past in the game show back up as well, and they're just a distraction right now as Kira focuses on this fight over here. Tanks are sieged up. The Banelings are crashing in pretty well, but there's so many Marines left over, and Kira is going to storm his way up this ramp into this bottom side base. And there's going to be a lot of Lings, Hydras, and Queens. They'll probably continue to drop in the next few moments. GG is called, and RagnaroK cannot hold on. Kira will take a game 2 of this series. Top right-hand side, Red's Terran player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming is Kira, taking on the Blue Zerg in the bottom left-hand side from AlphaX. It's RagnaroK. So, RagnaroK, Kira, game 3 of the series. You have the Overlord on the way from RagnaroK here initially, and just getting ourselves set up and ready to go into a final deciding map. Again, this is just the first match of this little group that we're casting some replays of today. I've got about 2.5 hours left, so this first series actually took a little bit longer than expected, so I guess the overall plan turns out to be we'll just kind of go and do as much as we can. I was kind of hoping to do the whole group, but if the games are long, then the games are long. We can't do much about it, right? So yeah, we'll just do as much as we can. Overlord making its way out up to the top right-hand side. Again, openers are very standard for the early minute and a half. It is Everdream. You know, things we see on Everdream. This central area, generally very, very important. You know, an area which is, you know, blocked by some rocks, and sometimes you have fights here. The Terran can fall back to this side, and the Zerg just can't engage. In general, Everdream, a map you can just push on, right? You know, you can take a 4th base here as the Terran. You can push and rally and rally. Unlike on Ice and Chrome, which makes it a good map for the bio. From the Zerg point of view, well, you can kind of play a bit of anything, really. You know, this is not a bad map. It's not the longest if you want to play a Roach style or something as well. So there's definitely a few different options for how you set this up. There's a couple of Queens from RagnaroK building up, Lings on the way out, and a few drones pulling out of this extractor and heading elsewhere as he gets the gas force speed already. And RagnaroK just executing as expected early on. Here's Everdream kind of became a very standard map in the map pool, right? You know, it became this map that I don't think anyone is super like, oh my god, it's such a, you know, Zerg map or Terran map or Protoss map. I think everyone just looks at Everdream and they're like, yeah, you know, nice map, fun map. You know, no one really dislikes playing on Everdream. No one really, you know, says, oh my god, this is, you know, this map's so good for this certain style. It kind of is just the, you know, almost the go-to standard map of the map pool right now. I think a lot of people would have initially said Eternal Empire was that, but Eternal does have some biases. I think Terran very good on Eternal versus Zerg, for example. A lot of Zergs will tell you that, at least. I'm not sure if the Terrans would agree, but, you know, you don't really hear those things about Everdream in comparison. You have Queens of RagnaroK just building up, and you can see a couple of Queens trying to make their way forward. The Reaper gonna go hide off to the side, and there is the hatchery blocked. The Reaper gets there to block twice. Now has to leave. Again, just a few seconds gained on the denial. I mean, a few seconds, you got the APM to do it. You don't lose the Reaper. Why not, right? 3CC behind this. This is going to be a starport as well, though, so just again, you're into a pretty quick free command center, and then you're just going to get the tech lab down, the starport down, so you can start up stim. You can get maybe a medevac or so if he wants to. Nobody's going to go for a different way of this, so maybe with 3CC, just wants to get the Banshee up and then be very safe. Once again, this time maybe just a cloakless Banshee instead of cloaked Banshee. Doesn't have the gas for cloak, so this is just one defensive Banshee early. RagnaroK is building that Roach Roar, and so actually, it's a really good investment from Kira. It's going to help a lot defensively if this is just a bunch of Roaches marching across the map. And I say if, but the reality is the Roaches are going to be producing any second now. There they are. And actually, there is going to be a cloak in the end from Kira, so he will eventually get 2 cloaked Banshees. So this is also nice because it means he'll build a second Banshee instead of just the one. And while one Banshee is good to help defend, two is going to be even better. So love this setup from Kira at the moment. RagnaroK is already down on workers, obviously hoping to deal damage with this attack. But the damage he's able to do should be limited, although it will still come down to... Well, it still comes down to what is next, right? You know, do you see this coming? Now, the Banshee's in the right place, because there is a world in which you don't see these roaches, because RagnaroK has snuck them out the right-hand side, so he's getting them onto the map. The Banshees don't know about it, so the Banshees can't go and start handling it. And if you don't know about it, you're not in position, these roaches will deal damage before you clean them up, so... you don't even get deep enough here as Kira to see there's no workers on the third base, which would be a bit of a tell. So yeah, he's just missing all the info he really needs as the Ravagers are morphing in across the map. And this does have potential from RagnaroK to deal damage enough, I think, to transition into a macro game. But it's still a big commitment, and even if you do good SEV damage, the follow-up here is still going to be pretty painful for, you know, for RagnaroK, because there's still going to be stim done. There's still harassment options for the Terran. I gotta say, this Banshee actually stayed at home, so that's a great call from Kira. Keeping this Banshee at home means it's straight away just in position to help out. The Hellions getting caught by some Lings in the middle of the map. You already see 11 SCVs going down. The attempt to bust through this ramp continues. 17 workers killed. I mean, that's the damage you're looking for thereabouts. You're 5-ish workers ahead right now as RagnaroK. Now you're 10 ahead and droning. Yeah, this is enough damage to make a macro game out of it. You might say even enough damage to be really far ahead, but the one thing I would say is you do have 3 CCs Kira, and again, he does have things such as the stim pack, which should help a lot in him being able to deal some extra damage. But the one thing that RagnaroK did well is he actually also got rid of a few Marines. Not loads, just 3, but takes away some of the counter-attack potential. And as the Banshees will continue to make their way across to the bottom left-hand side, do you have Lings all gathering up together on the right side of this. Banshees will cloak up. I'm just going to be seeing Overlords from RagnaroK just setting up on the left-hand side. Banshee's going to kill a drone. So a couple of drones down. Just going to be seeing our 1-1 upgrades continuing on the engineering base. And again, just Banshee's continuing to pick away at a bunch of drones at the moment. Getting a lot of damage dealt here. 7, 8 workers down. And that's what I mean, right? There's so many tools for the Terran to deal damage with. The Banshees are still alive to go across the map and harass. The bio is now coming up. Medevacs are going to be here soon. And those are all things which you've got to worry about as RagnaroK. That said, he is still 20 workers ahead, but it's coming at the cost of being very behind on army. And also, not just in army, but what he's actually got for his army. He's building road speed, 1-1 melee, and then just now the Bane Nest. So he's going to be down in upgrades and no Bane speed for the first Marine tank push of Kira. And that's terrifying. Someone like Kira having that kind of advantage, absolutely terrifying. That for sure. No two ways about it. It is scary, scary stuff. So RagnaroK now, I mean, that's where the roaches maybe come into play a bit, right? You're building some roaches. The roaches can kind of, you know, help out. They can definitely help you to stabilize a little bit of a sturdier portion of the army. But even that, I mean, having to rely on roaches isn't pretty now. He gets supply blocked as well. Loses an Overlord. New one wasn't on the way. He'll lose a second. So he has to make 3 to even start thinking about making units again. Yeah, the tank in the medevac, but he won't unload it just yet. He'll back off, and I think he just wait for 1-1 in combat shields, and then I'm still pretty convinced that this next attack of Kira has the potential to just straight up be deadly. Will it end the game? Maybe not, but it can absolutely deal some significant damage, and you can see this now. Now Kira has caught up in workers, while RagnaroK has done nothing but lose extra drones, build purely units. Now Kira gets back in the game, and that's why RagnaroK had that worker lead for a while, and yeah, it's the right way to do it. Take an eco advantage while you can, and then build units to survive, but again, it means that it was more of a temporary advantage rather than a permanent feature in the game. And so now the worker counts are much more kind of, you know, in line with where they're meant to be. And she's still coming through, by the way. They've killed so many workers together in this game so far. As these few medevacs are Kira heading down to the bottom side. Combat shield about to finish from Kira. We see the +1 melee about to be done on the Evo chamber. Kira doesn't go for like one straight up attack like I kind of thought he would. He's going to drop a couple positions. And Venice drop play really powerful against Bane Roach Ravager because you don't have anything to really defend drops, right? There's no way to shut down these medevacs. As RagnaroK's on to get a couple units in position. That's the Spider right there. If you can get that kill, it's obviously a huge denial. And then you keep the drops, you know, being better for even longer. A few drones maybe running back in a little bit too soon. These roaches get here finally. Not too much with the other drop on the map. That has got a tank inside, so it's not as powerful straight up because, well, it's just not more Marines, right? If it was full of Marines, then they're pretty good on the map. Obviously, with the tank, you kind of need them to siege up to make the most of it. Marines tank Halbat continuing through. A couple medevacs in the sky as the Lings. I'm gonna go running in for this. I mean, he was doing the right thing, I think. Just taking a step back, just gonna go gather his army together. I don't mind him continuing to drop though, and like keep his units in medevacs like this, although he did see the Spire, right? So you should know that he's on a timer for how long he can do this for. As long as you realize that was the Spire. He's gonna drop into the main base now. He's already got a pretty decent army on the map as well. Again, wouldn't necessarily mind that moving out and taking position. He's maybe just afraid of not being able to lift and leave with it in case it gets overwhelmed. I mean, this is a serious threat he's applying to the bottom side of the map, so I don't think you should be too worried about that. But again, he's playing cautiously, and with that cautious play, he's now able to regather everything together for one larger push. Marines tanks continuing down across the left-hand side. Tanks will siege. Marines are going to start stepping forward. Some Banes being picked away at here, and there you go. Ling Ravager Bane going to be running on through the tanks. Starting up a lot of hits onto these Banelings. I mean, the Banelings go down. If you don't have the Banes, this is the issue right now. The Roach Ravager feels very useless. It's not in swarmy kind of numbers. What it's adding to the army is just really not that substantial, and it really kind of just tells you that this army just isn't good quality from RagnaroK. Pure's army, again, there just wasn't enough Banelings for RagnaroK, so Pure's army just overwhelms it, and that's going to remain true now. He's walking the Banes into the front, so Pure's getting rid of a lot of them before they even finish morphing. Tank fire, and there's no Banelings left, and there's no hope for RagnaroK left in this game number 3 of the series. A couple Banes connect, but even still, you can clean out all of these Marines, and I think the reinforcements will win the game at this stage. GG's, and that's going to be RagnaroK taking the Pure taking the 2-1 victory. And a pretty